I think it's fair to say that the anti-white male narrative in the mainstream media is in full swing. And the saddest part is that all this male shaming in mainstream media doesn't even try to be subtle anymore. It's out there in the open, in plain sight. Being openly anti-white male isn't only tolerated, it's endorsed and encouraged, because that's how you virtue signal in 2019. That's how you show the world how woke you are. It's almost expected now in the entertainment industry. Hating on white men equals wokeness. Let's look at this fine example from the Captain Marvel actress Brie Larson.
I don't hate white dudes, but fuck you white dudes, because you're not woke enough to appreciate my movie. And the racial makeup of film reviewers needs to be an exact representation of the rest of society, or it's racist. My dad's a white dude, but I told my mum how racist she is for having babies with a white dude and having a kid who's white. And I think movies need to be inclusive of everyone, but only if you're not a white dude. But I totally don't hate white dudes. And you know what? 67% of all the guys I've been with were white, but white dudes only make up 30% of the overall population. And I realise how racist that is, so as soon as I get off this stage, I'm gonna go and suck off every black dude in the audience to balance the scales a bit. Oh, and by the way, I don't hate white dudes.
But this has me wondering if the anti-male agenda in the media has reached its zenith or is the worst yet to come. After the huge backlash we've seen against Gillette, Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, will the guilty parties double down and continue their derision of white males in the future? Or will they endeavour to tone down the male bashing so they can appeal to a broader audience, including all those toxic white males that make up the majority of their consumer base? It's no secret that Hollywood is controlled by a liberal agenda. SJWs own Disney and Disney owns the Star Wars franchise, so I think we still have plenty more wokeness to look forward to. I can already see the day when Disney announced that there'll be no more lightsabers in Star Wars because the lightsaber is a phallic symbol that represents the patriarchy and toxic masculinity. I mean, let's face it, Hollywood movies have two main objectives: to make a profit and to drive social change. But if driving that social agenda is alienating consumers, then profit is going to suffer. So I guess it's a balancing act for them. But it makes me wonder what's going on behind the scenes at Gillette and Marvel right now. Do they have somebody who does like a cost-benefit analysis of incorporating this particular brand of anti-male social justice into their products? And I wonder if this thought ever crosses their mind.
Maybe telling men that they suck isn't the best way to get men to buy our products and watch our movies. Maybe we need to try a different approach.
Even if being woke is going to attract more females to the franchise and other minorities, that's great, but is that going to be enough to offset all the white male viewers they're insulting who may decide to boycott the franchise or the brand, as we've seen many men do with Gillette razors after that woke commercial? Movies like Captain Marvel are riding the wave of Hollywood feminism that's been building momentum for quite some time. And I think Hollywood has been pushing the modern interpretation of this SJW anti-white male girl power movement for a few years now. I probably first noticed it back in 2015 when Cuck Wars, The Feminist Awakens was in movie theatres. And I remember discussing that movie on forums, and some people shared my view that the movie had a pro-feminist anti-male theme, but other people were in denial and telling me I was overanalyzing the movie and seeing things that weren't even there. And that's what I found the most astonishing of all. It wasn't that Disney had incorporated this SJW theme into the Star Wars franchise. It was the fact that grown adults who watched the movie couldn't see it. They couldn't see what was happening in plain sight. To me, it felt like the movie constantly had to remind the audience that Rey is a strong, independent woman who doesn't need no man, and that girls can do whatever boys can do. There's a few standout examples of this, like the part where Rey and Finn get into the spaceship on that desert planet Jakku. Finn takes up the gunner controls, and Rey gets into the cockpit and takes up the flight controls. And then we get a close-up of Finn saying, "I can do this," followed immediately by a close-up of Rey saying, "I can do this," to make a statement that girls can do whatever boys can do. But if that wasn't enough to convince you of the feminist narrative, the movie takes the SJW control switch and turns it up a notch. In the scene where something goes bust inside the spaceship, Rey is repairing the ship and telling Finn to pass her tools as needed. At one point in this scene, Finn passes her the wrong tool and is bumbling around like a fool trying to find the right tool, while Rey is losing patience trying to tell him what tool she needs because he doesn't know his tools. This was the most blatant role reversal I could possibly imagine. The point of this scene was to turn gender stereotypes upside down and portray women to be good at fixing things and good with tools, while the man is a bumbling idiot who can't even tell one tool from the next. And then it was the same story all over again when Mad Maxine: Feminist Road hit the theatres. I think this caption best sums up that movie. I remember it was widely reported at the time of its release that the director George Miller consulted a feminist writer and activist, Eve Onsler, to make changes to the script. But just like Cuck Wars, there were still people in denial about the feminism and male bashing in Mad Maxine, and every time I tried pointing it out to them with specific examples, they would just go into denial mode and say I was overanalyzing everything. Now, even though the SJW agenda in Cuck Wars and Mad Maxine was so blatantly obvious to me, there was always people trying to deny it. But I don't really see anyone denying the anti-male agenda in Captain Marvel. I mean, how can you deny it when the movie's lead actress was on a stage before the film's release talking trash about white men? It's clear why she was handpicked for this role, because she espouses liberal anti-white male views, and she's a mouthpiece for their inclusivity and diversity agenda. The anti-male narrative is so blatant now that nobody can deny it. They've completely come out of the closet with it now and said, "This is how woke we are, we're gonna take you white men down." I think that women like Brie Larson are the very reason that feminism has become a dirty word, and the reason that some women don't identify as feminists. Of course women believe in women's rights, but most normal women don't want to be associated with hating on white men and male shaming. And I think for a lot of people now, the word feminism conjures up images like this. Now, I haven't watched Captain Marvel, and I'm not going to watch the movie. Nor have I seen any of the Cuck Wars films since The Force Awakens. Because what's the point? I know they're going to suck, and I know that they're basically going to be a 2-hour Gillette commercial. I wonder if Hollywood will ever go back to the good old days of making a movie that everyone can sit back and enjoy without having to worry about this liberal agenda being shoved down our throats.